Reverend Frankie Mapp to speak on the subject, faith versus facts. Reverend Mapp.
Before Reverend Mapp begins, we want to make sure, Mark, you mute everyone else except Reverend Mapp so that the recording was having interference. Then go ahead and mute for Reverend Mapp.
Today is the first Sunday in a new month, the month of May. It is also the fourth Sunday of Easter. The topic is faith versus facts. And our text is taken from 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 7. Corinthians 2:5, verse 7. For we live by faith, not by sight. We welcome everyone, wherever you are, whoever you are, that you can join our service today. We want to talk today about spying. And what is a spy? Our memory can take us back to the movies, spy movies. And one of the most famous spies we can remember, he spied for the British government, James Bond, master spy. Well, what is the purpose of spying? Several purposes. You are given a mandate by your superiors to go into someone else's country or look up someone else's information and bring back a report to your superiors. You are instructed of what to look for. Size of the country, population of the country, the resources of the country, if they have plenty gold, if they have plenty water, how many people, if the city in those days, if the city walls, how high is the wall, how thick is the wall, if the government is stable, if it is unstable, if the city is properly well fortified, if it has all the modern technology. So you are given a list of things to look out for. The scripture we read this morning have to do with spying. The Satan was the children of Israel reached at the border of the promised land. And God told Moses to select a committee of 12 to go and spy out the land they have to enter into. And Moses, following instruction, he selected a committee. Now, to keep things balanced and that there will be equality in the selection of the committee, Moses decided to choose a representative from each tribe, remembering that Israel is made up of 12 tribes. So one representative from each tribe chose 12. And he told them that they are going on a fact-finding mission. So the instructions are to go and investigate the people in the land that they have to enter into. Spying is not new. We our spying time and spying in ancient is the same thing. It's the same reason, the same purpose why countries spy on other countries. Today it's more sophisticated because we have all different type of sophisticated devices to do spying. We have satellites. We have all different type of things. One song said, I think, in a Simon and Garfunkel song, he said, careful, that bow tie the guy have on must be a camera. And so we have cameras and we have little drones flying all over the place, spying and looking for all different type of information for different reasons. You have things they call industrial espionage. This company producing this drug and that company producing that drug, and have people out there spying to see who is ahead in the race so they can steal information, they can steal data and carry it back to their company. All different type of reasons people spy for. But this particular topic that we are dealing with today, we're talking about the children of Israel going on a fact-finding mission because the time reached that they are at the very border of the promised land. So they went and they spy out the land. Now when you go into a land to spy out the land, is that there are a lot of things you have to go, there are a lot of places you have to meet. You go in the pubs, the bars, the restaurants, the rum shops, wherever. You go on the beach where people fishing, you go and see the gardening. All different type of places, and sometimes unusual places you find yourself in because you want to have a detailed information concerning the country that you were sent to spy into. Now after you're spying, you have to collate everything, put it together, and come back with a report. When you report to your superiors, sometimes they might ask you to make recommendation based upon the facts that you gather from the country that you went to. People, I want you to keep in mind to the topic facts versus faith, or vice versa, faith versus facts. Too many of us today are on fact-finding mission. Everyone wants to know facts. And it goes across the board. People want to find out things. They want to find out truth. They want to find out facts. Was Jesus really crucified on the cross? Was he really? Did he really resurrect from the dead? The Bible, who wrote the Bible? And all, when you go in this today in the information age, when you look at the type of things that people have come up and put outside there in terms of facts, it's too much for one individual to process. Too many people are on fact-finding mission. Now that could be dangerous to some people because not everyone can handle facts. Not everyone know how to interpret facts. Not all facts are good to know. When we walk with God, we do not rely on what we see. Matthew Henry, in one of his commentary, commenting on this same book of Numbers 13 and 14, Matthew Henry said it was never God's original plan to send any team, any committee to go into the land to spy out, God already knew what was in Canaan. But the people started with the grumbling and the complaining and the uncertainty and the anxiety. And God wanted to appease the people and to alleviate their fears. So he told Moses, send the organizer committee. But that was never in God's original plan, according to Matthew Henry. And it makes sense, because God already knew, because God had promised these people, he didn't promise them, Those that generation, that not they that get the promise, The promise was unto their father. And that reward for that land was as a result of faith, not facts. When God tell Abraham, this I will give you this land, it was not based on facts. God don't deal with those type of facts. When he have something to do, God is God. And when God have something to do, God say something, and it will come to pass no matter how long it takes. And God knows ahead, because he is God. He knows and sees all things. He's the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. When we depend on facts, at times it can be very dangerous. Depending on facts can lead to making hasty decisions. Depending on facts can lead to wrong interpretation. Depending on facts can lead into rebellion and contrariness. Like what happened in that setting in the wilderness there on the way to the promised land. The fact-finding committee, when they came back and they gave the report, there was a division amongst the committee. It was not unanimous, but there was an unbalance in the committee. The ratio was 10-2. 10 saying, we cannot take the land. And 2 is saying, yes, we could take the land. Mind you, the 12 had facts. But not all, the whole 12 knew how to interpret facts and how to apply the facts in the situation that they are involved in. You are a child of God. When you are a child of God, you cannot depend on the fact that you are seeing to go forward. Because if you do, you would stay right where you are. So they both had the facts. They saw walled cities. They saw giants in the land. That is the negative part. Because the city walls and there are giants. Those are facts. Other facts that they presented were the land is a fruitful land. The land, the soil is fertile, good for cultivation. As a matter of fact, they brought back fruits from the land, and the fruits were so large that one bunch of grapes, 2 men had to put it on a pole to carry it. And they were right. Apparently, like the fruits what the giant probably eat because it's so large. So they really are giants because it had giant fruits in the land that they were promised. Today, we are living in Canaan. The United States is a type of Canaan. The United States is the land of milk and honey. Well, if you don't know, why are you here? What are you doing here? What did you leave the country of your birth to come into this country for? And not you alone. People from all over the world want to come to the United States. And some people, they want to be specific. They want to be in one state, the Empire State. So from the time they rest their foot from off the plane into JFK or LaGuardia, They feel that they reach where they're going. And in truth and in fact, you reach where you're going because there is no better country that you can desire than the United States. In the history of countries, this country has been the most successful country that the world has ever seen. This country is full of resources. The economic opportunities that are there is too large. You can do what you want here. You can go as far as you want here. This is the earthly land of milk and honey. Okay, we are here. But this land is not our home. We just passing through here. We are not only earthly beings. We seek a heavenly city. We seek a celestial city. We seek in a country whose builder and maker is God. And like one songwriter said, this world is not our home. We just passing through. We have heavenly benefits. We have a heavenly destination. So don't feel that because we reach in the United States and we have acquired all the necessary material blessings that we can possibly possess. Some of us, when we came here, we get all different type of things. We have houses, we have land, we have cars, all different type of material. You go to some people's homes, you want to know what people doing with all these things in this United States here. It's a prosperous place. The land is flowing with milk and honey. But this is not our home. We are on a journey. We all came from Egypt. Well, this world is that type of Egypt. The children of Israel was in physical Egypt in Africa. We came from spiritual Egypt when we came out of the world. We all experienced the same thing. The children of Israel were baptized in the Red Sea unto Moses. And the Apostle Paul was quite clear and he was very explicit in Corinthians when he said that our baptism is similar to the baptism that they were baptized in the Red Sea. Thus there are parallels. We all have tasted Christ, the Apostle Paul said. The rock that they drank from in the wilderness, the scripture tells us, the interpretation of it, that rock was Christ. We all partake of, as we're going to do today, the new covenant, the New Testament, the body and blood. We all have tasted Christ. But the scripture said in one place, with many of the children of Israel, God was not well pleased. And those spies, those 10 spies that came back and gave an evil report, God was not pleased with that type of report that they gave. Because the report was not only a report to just receive it and it remain like that. The report caused a rebellion amongst the children of Israel. And the rebellion went so far that they took up stone and wanted to stone Moses and his officers. They had to go down and plead with God because they started to cast remarks and reproach Moses and telling Moses, if you didn't know that there are many graves in Egypt, that we could have been buried in Egypt, we and our children, that you have to take us from Egypt and bring us here into this wilderness here to bury us and our children. Saints, listen, when God do something for you, one of the things you must always remember to do is to return and give God thanks. God is ungratefulness. Do not go down to good with God. And the children of Israel, after what they passed through in Egypt and after all that God did for them, it was not enough for them. They started to long for the flesh pots back in Egypt. and the garlic and the onion, and they wasn't even studying the angel food that they were getting, and the light that God provided for them. And God take them from there and bring them the slavery they were in Egypt. They wasn't even studying that. All they were studying is to form a rebellion and go back into Egypt, because the facts that they were depending on, they feel that there is no way that they can go into that land and possess the land, because the giants that we see there is no way at all we can defeat this giant. But saints, when you're serving God, it's not by might, it is not by power, but it depends upon the power of God. God has resources he hasn't touched yet. Giant what? God wasn't pleased with the rebels and the doubting Thomases. And as a result of that, God decided, you see this generation, not one from 20 years and older will taste that promised land. Things were so bad that poor Moses, after working so hard and being faithful to God, he and all was denied access in the promised land. So they wandered and wandered and wandered 40 years in the wilderness, in which they were overthrown. The body died. God tell them plain. They feel what happened to us, we feel we have more talk than God, but God talks. God said the same children that you all say I will kill, them will go into the land, not you. And they all were overthrown in the wilderness. Saints, today we are faced with one giant: coronavirus, COVID-19. And that has the world, and I say the world, I include everybody, have the world panicking. People who suppose to be the ones to treat with viruses, they do not have an answer to this virus that we are faced with. So today you hear something, and tomorrow, 2 hours after, they come with something else. An hour later, they come with another thing. So the world is in panic. Stay home, go outside. Don't do this, do this. Do the other, don't do the other. The world is in panic because of this one little giant. The children of Israel saw the giant. The thing about it with this giant, nobody, apart if you take the microscope, cannot see it with your naked eye. And the little giant, it's causing havoc and chaos in the country. How are we going? How are we doing today, saints, with what is taking place in the world? How are we doing today as believers in God? Are we dependent on facts? Well, in this case, there is no facts. There is no facts in this case, because they haven't come up with anything substantial to that the people could say, well, all right, what you all saying, it make it. There is nothing. We all trying all different type of things. Some say drink Clorox or inject the Clorox and the Lysol. Some say drink the orange peel and the ginger and the garlic, and anything could work. Because the people who supposed to be in charge of sickness, they're telling you plain, don't come to the hospital. It's the first time in all of us who are listening to the sound of my voice, we have never experienced anything that hospital is telling you, don't come here, stay home. That is your hospital. That is where this giant have us today. That is only one giant. Are there any other giant in your life today that is causing you to be fearful, that you do not want to move, that you seize on the border between going to the promised things that God has promised you? Is there any giants that you have been faced with today, apart from the corona? Because we have all type of giants in our lives, But since we have breaking news this morning for you, whatever giant you are facing today, our God is able to take that giant and take a few stones and hit that giant in his head like David did and tumble that giant. The question is asked today, as the children of Israel was suffering, they were suffering from grasshopperitis Are you today suffering from grasshopperitis? Because that's what they said in the report, you know. They say we are like grasshoppers in the eyes of these children of Anak, the Anakins. Sometime in the past, we did something on giants. So yes, they were giants. But are you suffering from grasshopperitis today? Or are we exercising our faith? The giants will always be there, all different type. Do you possess the spirit of Joshua this morning? That you can be strong and be courageous and be brave to take up the battle and lead from in front and go and say, yes, we're going forward to possess the land. Do you possess that Joshua spirit this morning? Wake up the Caleb spirit in you. We have a celestial city to enter. Wake up that Caleb spirit, because it's Joshua and Caleb who stand up and say, no, that is not what we went to report and to see and to bring back. That we didn't go to bring back, even though it's a negative report, but we didn't come to act on the negativity. We didn't come to act on the facts. As a matter of fact, because there are giants, as a child of God, it should give you more impetus to go in, because you're not going up against the giant in your strength. You're going up against the giant in the name of the Lord. So saints, put on the helmet of salvation. Pick up the sword of the Spirit. Put on the garment of prayer and praise. Get down on your knees, that means. Put on the shield of faith, for we walk by faith and not by sight. Go up and possess the land. Go up and possess the land. Go up and possess the land. We could take it. God bless you, saints, this morning. Thank you. Praise the Lord. Back to the worship leader.
Thank you for the words from our Reverend this morning. And we have a challenge that we should go up and possess the land.